The house on the hill. I grew up in a secluded community that didn't worship gods, only a house. It sat alone on a hill, surrounded by forest. The house was made of rough wood and bark shingles, with windows clear as ice and a porch supported by polished tree branches. It wasn't fancy, but every inch of it was crafted with care. No one lived there. No one went inside. But every week we cleaned it. We weren't waiting for the end of the world. We weren't chanting or preaching. We didn't talk about salvation or punishment. We just took care of the house because our leader, Mike, told us it was important. Mike wasn't a madman, not outwardly. He was quiet, patient, even kind. He had a wife who baked cookies for the children every Wednesday. He didn't demand money or loyalty. He only asked that we care for the house as if it were sacred. He said he found it while hiking. He never explained what was inside, but whenever he talked about it, he'd light up, like a man remembering something too beautiful for words. That light on his face, it made us believe. Mike created the preservation community, and with it, a way of life. Children were divided into 3 groups: cleaners, who cared for the inside of the house; gardeners, who tended the land around it; the offered, chosen for a purpose no one truly understood. 10 days after birth, Mike would meditate in a quiet place in the woods and discern where each child belonged. Some children were naturally blind or deaf. These were called self-selectors, considered special. I was born deaf and became a gardener, just like my parents. I never spoke aloud. We used sign language in our part of the camp. The cleaners and gardeners barely interacted. At 10, we were old enough to join the weekly hill duty. Mike would draw names, 10 from each group. The cleaners would enter the house to clean. The gardeners would work the yard, plant flowers, trim hedges. We weren't allowed to look into the windows. We didn't know why. No one explained. So, naturally, we were curious. I remember the night everything changed. Mia and I were both chosen for hill duty. We'd been friends since birth. We giggled through the ritual washing, exchanged inside jokes through hand signs, and climbed the hill under the fading light. Once the cleaners entered the house and closed the door, we turned on our headlamps and started our tasks. That's when we saw it, a golden beam of light, thin, sharp, cut through the dark. One of the curtains had been moved, just a sliver, a gap. We stood frozen, staring. I said we should look inside. Mia hesitated. We argued. Finally, we played rock, paper, scissors. I won, so she lost. Mia stepped forward and peered through the slit in the curtain. She didn't speak, didn't blink. I asked what she saw. No reply. I tugged her arm. Nothing. It was like she was rooted to the spot. Then the curtain closed. The light vanished, and Mia collapsed. When she stood up, she didn't say anything. She just turned and walked down the hill. The next day, Mia was gone. When I asked about her, one of the elders told me she had volunteered to become one of the offered. That was rare. Most of the offered had been chosen as infants. They were raised apart, given everything they needed but taught nothing of the world. They didn't speak. They didn't read or write. They were quiet, almost serene. They weren't like us. They were different, raised for a purpose we didn't dare talk about. Once a month, an offered was taken to the house. They walked the path between the cleaners and gardeners. We watched in silence as they were led to the front door. Mike would open it. They would go inside. The door would close. They never came back. The week Mia was chosen, Mike asked me to assist in the preparation. I said yes. I didn't know what I expected, but it wasn't her smile. She was calm, peaceful. There was a light in her eyes, like the one I'd seen on Mike's face when he talked about the house. I tried to get her attention, tried to sign to her, but she wouldn't look at me. After her final preparations, Mia walked the path herself. She didn't need help. She didn't hesitate. Mike opened the door. Mia stepped inside. The door closed. We waited, and we waited. She didn't come out. Hours passed. Everyone left. I stayed. I wandered back to the garden bed where Mia and I had worked days before. The window above us was dark, the curtains drawn. I turned to walk away, then stopped. Something was written on the glass. I moved closer. At first, it looked like smudges, maybe mud or paint. But then I saw the letters, my name. Then a message, Mike lies, room evil. The next morning I snuck into Mike's truck as he drove into town. When we arrived, I ran. The police found me. I told them everything, the rituals, the sorting, the house. They searched for the community. They never found it. I was placed in the foster system, learned how to live in the modern world, made new friends. But I never forgot Mia. I never forgot the hill. Yesterday I found it, on a satellite map, an overhead image of the forest, a clearing, a small dark shape in the center. The house. After all these years, it's still there. And now I have to decide, do I go back? Do I find out what's inside? Do I finally learn what Mia saw and why she smiled? Mike said he'd tell me when it was my turn. Maybe that time is now.